What's up, guys? We're going to jump into the episode with Tyler here shortly. But I just wanted to thank everyone for listening to the show. Seen a lot of growth. I feel like I'm saying that a lot lately. So very grateful on this end of things. If you do want to support the show, please share it with those around you. This is going to be a great episode with Tyler. Been friends forever. Well, it feels like forever, anyways. And we jump into picking a goal, picking a structure, working with intent, and trying to become the best in whatever avenue that is. As it pertains to the show, I think there's a lesson in it for studying scripture every day, going to church, going to Bible study, trying to commune and find fellowship with fellow believers, and then going on and being able to apply that and execute upon it as we fulfill the Great Commission and go out and try to make disciples. So we've also got the merch store if you want to get anything that supports the show as well. But just word of mouth is the greatest thing for us right now. But with that, I'll let the episode speak for itself. All right, and we're live. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Save Show. This is your host Justin, joined by a very special guest near and dear to my heart. We've got Tyler Kluver calling in today.
I'm special.
Yeah, Tyler and I have been friends for a few years now, and I would assume we could just have drinks and chat for like hours, but that really wasn't my intention today. I like to keep the show short. Yeah, maybe.
I don't drink.
And you don't drink, so there you go.
But you've got coffee and I've got water, it looks like, so.
I promise it's coffee. Yep.
Okay.
Nothing fun. But yeah, Tyler Kluver, I also an Iowa native, entrepreneur, athlete. I think I'll let you do the intros, but go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, those are two titles I don't usually get introduced with because it's usually just former Iowa football player anywhere that I go.
Yep.
So I guess I can expand on that. Athlete in the term of I was a college athlete. I now am a self-proclaimed athlete in the CrossFit space. So I don't know if I have a hard time uh, telling people that because it's definitely more of a hobby unless you're one of the best, which I am trying to get to. It's extremely hard, but I do train like an athlete. I train just as hard as I did when I was in college. Entrepreneur side of my life is or was an accident. I suppose it was part of the plan in the dreams. I just didn't know exactly what that was going to look like. And now 5 years post college, after working in a gym, which health and fitness and that stuff is sort of my passion, I have ended up splitting time between owning my own media company that's based around Iowa football and the other side, the fitness and nutrition side. I do coach clients one-on-one, write programs for them for exercise and help them with nutrition, and I wear cutoffs, so that's part of the job.
Yeah, look at those shoulders. It's great. I had this ready to go.
Oh,
We
he's
got
got the hat.
some washed up walk-ons merch from a few years ago, I think.
That's a clean hat too. That was only run that a couple times. People really enjoyed that one. So it looks
Yeah.
like it fits good too.
Oh yeah, it feels good. It's a little musty. I used to wear it for marathon training because it's a good hat. But yeah, I'll switch back to mine. Yeah, man, I have been. I think you know this. I've been in your corner, kind of supporting you the last few years. And I didn't.
More than anybody.
That's kind. Yeah, I wasn't saying that to brag. It's just being able to have you on here now as a supporter as I try to kind of make my own podcast. Everybody's got a blog kind of a thing, but we're making it work. It's fun. If nothing else, I get to talk to my friends and maybe somebody might get something out of it.
That's what it's all about.
Yes, sir. I asked you last week. I had a thesis. I thought maybe Tyler Kluver, beginning of his fitness journey, and that journaling and programming might look different than it does today. Me as an outside observer, I didn't see anything, but to you, I think it's way better now than it used to be. And my thesis was that, I like I told you, this is a Jesus podcast, so I won't put you on the hot seat, but my thesis was that as it comes to theology, to sin is to miss the mark. And I think a lot of us do that when it comes to fitness and just life in general. There's so many things that can distract us. You can pay attention to inflation or politics, or, sports is a great pastime for people. But all that distracts you from being able to be in the most powerful position possible, which is your own realm, your own life. And looking at you from the outside, I think you probably wouldn't say it this way, but you've kind of mastered winning in your own life most days of the week, I would say. And so going back to that programming, how it's changed over the last few years, I wanted to have you on and just kind of explain your journey and then how it is that you're, quote unquote, missing the mark or sinning less these days in life.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I appreciate that from the outside perspective of someone who looks at me as someone who is winning in my own life. I do think that that is something that, whether I think about it like that or not, it somewhere, some way, it is close to that how I view it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I th- I think that in general, people they don't they do get caught up in a lot of other stuff. Um, and when you're focused on other people, it just takes a lot of mental energy away from doing your best at whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in it for me, that has probably manifested itself into a little bit of a like a standoffish. This guy is maybe doesn't isn't the most friendly. I think even when like when I moved back here and met you and Nick for the first time, you probably got a little bit of that vibe until you uh met me, like really got to know me more.
Hung out more. Yep.
And I think it's just so much so that I'm just very focused on myself and what makes me happy. Um and what fulfills me the most, which happens to be like creating and very much so fitness.
Mm-hmm.
Um because fitness is like I got lucky, like that's not only very important for anybody, like any human, it is um and most people don't like it, and I got lucky that it is like my thing.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, it's like I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but yeah, I look back even just a few years ago, going back to like your thesis, you hit me with the I've got a theory, and I was like, oh, Justin's he's got some thoughts. Um, and you kind of took a look at like what my programming looked like as far as how I write things down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the outside perspective of that, or what it looks like just in the journal, or it's a Google Doc or whatever, it does look very similar, and that's more so just to like keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
The intent and sort of the detail behind that, and the very very focused progressions, if you know what to look for, are drastically different from in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning. um and that has shifted with my own focus of 3 or 4 years ago. I was just trying to like figure out in life, it was a transitory period of
Right.
I need, I need to figure out like financial stability. I need to figure out um like, is what I'm doing a 3, 5, 10 year plan?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a vision there that like I could see turning into something? There was just a lot of things that were sort of like uncertain. Like we're you're a
Right.
year older than me. We were both kind of entering our adult lives. Um,
Same time.
Now, on the life side of things have steadied out a little bit. Things are a little bit more stable. Money's a little bit more stable. Everything's just a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more, like I still feel like a kid, but as far as like taxes and living somewhere and making money and having a car, like all the adult stuff, like I feel like
Yeah.
my camera's being dumb today. Um, I feel like I've got some sort of handle on that to where
Hmm.
now about a year ago, to the month or to the day, I was finally able to like take CrossFit, which is something I'm passionate about, and really say, I want to, whatever it is, I want to reach my full potential, whatever that is for
Hmm.
Tyler Kluver.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that I'm not even close. Um, Now, if you look at me a year ago, as far as just general fitness and health, you look at that guy and you say, well, he's doing pretty good, right? Like
Right.
most people would say, like, I don't know how, where do you go from there?
Right. Where's the
Um,
peak?
but in, you know, back to like winning, being a person who wins, just in general, wins the day. Like, I don't want to be just a 10% guy, right?
Hmm.
A guy who like, oh yeah, like, in a room out of 10, he's the one guy that's like doing well. He's doing everything right. He's disciplined. I want to be a 1 in 10,000 guy. Like we're talking some David Goggins type stuff, like
Yeah.
uncommon amongst uncommon. I want to be someone who, if you gather 100,000 people in a stadium and you say, all right, we're doing some kind of competition or something, like it's specifically fitness in
Right.
my life.
You
I
want to
want
end
to
up
be
on top.
I want
Yeah.
to be the one guy that ends up on top of the heap. And when you start to dilute it down to, you're trying to be not just great or elite, but like to a level of which most people don't even comprehend.
Hmm.
Um, it takes a lot. It takes so much work and dedication. And this, for me, that looks like a lot of time in the gym. For someone who's
Sure.
trying to run a business, that takes a lot of time just sitting at the computer or doing whatever it is to market themselves. For someone who wants to be an all-time family guy, it takes a lot of time of self-improvement, self-help,
Hmm.
uh, spending time with kids. For someone who wants to be great at their job, it's putting in extra hours, putting in overtime, whatever it is. Um, Past the point of like the normal people who go above and beyond,
Yeah.
and then even the people who are a little bit like uncommon and do more, even those people say like, oh, he's the guy out of all the guys that is, a little bit nuts, right?
Next level. Yeah. Yeah.
So um it doesn't reflect so much in the journaling or in the
Yeah. Hmm.
thing, but um it pretty much comes down to the concept of like, if you want to do less wrong or be distracted or whatever, win, um you basically make a decision that is non-negotiable, and you prioritize it with the other major things in your life, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's faith or family
Hmm.
or your children, whatever it may be. The hobby now becomes an equal priority, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's other places in my life where, like this is not sustainable forever in the fitness avenue, right? But the lessons learned and sort of the work ethic and the
Hmm.
mindset, um, and that grit is sort of, those are all skills that are honed through a certain avenue that I
Hmm.
can then take into other places of my life
Right.
when I decide that being the fittest guy on earth is no longer the goal, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's a good segue because that's why I kind of wanted to have you on because I know that more so than just like the volume or the reps or the weight that was in your programming, it was the structure and how can you apply that elsewhere in your life. And I
mhm,
think for anybody that's listening to this, I didn't want to just put some eye candy in front of them. I was thinking more like this guy's doing well in an avenue. How can he apply that to other parts of his life? How can you also do that? So breaking the goal that's a year out down into just individual days and winning those days by treating it as a non-negotiable, like you said,
yeah.
would kind of be like the theme here. But I wanted to take you back. You said like a year ago, almost to the day, you made this decision. Was there something that you heard? Was it just a change in your day to day, or what happened?
Um, that is a good question. You and I both, for probably a period of a year or 18 months, had kind of been dabbling around with running, right?
Hmm. Yes, sir.
Um, we ran a half together,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah,
alone.
you
You and I.
ran it. Yeah.
Well, we ran 7 of it together, and
Yeah, and you took
then
off.
you were probably pushing your knee a little more than you should have.
Yep.
Um,
I was really squeezing the, dad life back then. I've
y-
got a kid, I can't do the training run.
right, and and there
Yeah,
you get pulled in a lot of different directions. I was not, so I was
yep,
feeling, that luckily caught me on a good day that day, so I went and
true.
hammered. Um, I the whole CrossFit thing. I've for 10 years now. I've loved CrossFit since I
Mhm,
found it. In like March of 2012, so over 10 years now. Wasn't really able to do it in college because we were doing football specific training, and then you know because I was athletic, because I was pretty fit relative to the normal person,
yeah,
as far as competing in it or being like competitive, I could go into like the average gym and beat most people at most things. Um, and I was okay with that. And again, for 2-3 years out of college till 25, 26, I was like, I'm content with this, right? And I
mhm,
don't really have or want to put more time into chasing the best. And I do think there was a small component of like, I don't think I can get there. Like I didn't
okay,
believe in myself. Um, I had some preconceived notions about what I was genetically possible to do. And I
mhm,
had some preconceived notions about how much work I was behind to reach the top level. So it was just never really a thing. And then 2020, we ran the half. 6 weeks later, I ran your full because
yep,
you
you
you were
did.
like having a kid like that week or something.
Yeah, yeah, Charlie was
Um,
coming.
and I got done running the full. I was like, all right, I want to run. I was hoping that the half would be in person the following year.
Mhm,
So last year, 21, it was got
yep,
to experience an actual half with like a starting line and music and all the fanfare that goes along with it. And when I got done with that, I was like, okay, I'm kind of good on I'm 5'10". I'm a thick boy at heart. Like I'm not gonna be the guy who pushes 90 minutes on a half marathon, right?
yeah,
I'm not gonna go sub 3 on 26.2. I'm not gonna push any crazy barriers here. I've done it. I completed it. I ran the distances. I was content. I'm more into CrossFit. And so then I decided, screw it. I've got the time. I work from home. I've got the equipment. I can buy more, whatever I need. So I put together a 4-phase plan that phased
mhm,
out over, uh, from August through February, which is the start of the CrossFit season,
okay,
and built myself from, I was doing probably 45 minutes to an hour a day of training 5 days a week. So maybe 4 to 5 hours of training a week. Um, and put together a plan that would gradually take me from uh, 5 up to about 15 hours a week of training.
mhm.
Um,
Yeah, you're a marathon man as far as, lifting, conditioning, everything these days.
yeah, it's just there's so much in CrossFit to be good at, gymnastics, all the crazy stuff
Mhm,
that you see, that you have to put in crazy amounts of time. And it's not always conditioning. It's not always like super hard. Sometimes it's just skill wise, it's hard.
yeah,
But there's a lot to do. And I was like, I told uh, Lauren, the wife, I was like, I'm gonna try and like go for this. I'm just gonna see what happens, right? Give me 6 months, August to February. Let's see where I end up, right?
yeah,
Um, it was a short enough time period where like it wasn't gonna, I can work out when she's gone at work, right?
sure.
So I'm not like impeding on our time.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
there's some balance. You're not, chasing dreams that you can't achieve.
right, and like I'm still a huge thing, maybe the most important thing, um, is spending time with her, right? I just
Mhm,
love to just sit
yep,
on the couch and or lay in bed and just be with her. It's very
right,
important to me. Um, and I wasn't going to impede on that because I was going to work out twice, that both before she got home. I was like, all right, let's make a run at this. Like let's put some intentional training into it and see
mhm,
where I get. Um, Long story short, I followed that plan basically to a T. Um, February of this year came around. We did the open. Um, the open is like first stage worldwide, everyone can participate.
Yep.
There was 80,000 men who from the United States and Canada, it's a North America region, who entered, and I came out of that first stage like just outside of the top 2,000.
All right.
Good, right? Nothing crazy, but good.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the open generally is more of an aerobic based sort of lung focused stage of the competition.
Okay.
As it goes on, it gets a little bit heavier. So when we add some weights and some skill into some things, I get better, right? Made it to the quarterfinals. 7,000 men signed up for the quarterfinals. Top 10% or whatever, so 7 or 8,000 out of 80,000. And in that stage, I ended up getting 350th out of 8,000 people,
I
right?
bet that felt good.
It felt totally unexpected.
Yeah.
Did not think I would, I was hoping for top 1,000. I was going to be ecstatic with top 1,000 in the country. Ended up 350th. Ended up beating a couple guys who I've watched do CrossFit and kind of fanboyed over in a couple of the workouts for like years.
Yeah.
And so I come out of that weekend and I'm like, okay, now the plan has extended. As if that's what 6 months of training has done for me, what could I do with a year and 6 months? A whole nother year under my belt, a whole another 2 years under my belt, right? Like let's make this from February, let's make this a 2-year plan through the 24 season and see where I can go.
Right.
And the momentum just kept building into, all right, like I'm basically considering myself a full-time CrossFit athlete now, along with my day job. And we're going to see if we can ride this thing out and make what in CrossFit would be like the top 1% of the top 1%, which is semifinals. It would be the top 120 guys in North America. It would be about the top 300 in the world. So that's our goal. I don't know if we're going to get there. It's very, very tough to get there.
Yeah.
There's 600 guys who are trying to make those top 120 spots. 600 guys out there that are maybe more that are training just as much as me each day with the intention of doing the same thing I'm trying to do. So it's not like you just do the work and get in.
Right.
But yeah, it was more of a thing of like I didn't believe in myself, didn't have the time, and then things just kind of switched, and I got excited and motivated and said screw it. And when I do something, I'm doing it. Like there is no backing out. There is no like we're in it. And so
right. Is it the excitement as far as like the prospect of winning or being in that top 1% that motivates you every day, or is it not even a motivation thing? You're just, this is what I'm doing today, and then you do that every day.
It's a good question. It's a really good question, because I don't know if I actually care about I've thought about this. I'm a little bit different than most people. I'm very fortunate in this way that, when people say the process is the best part, right? Or the process is the prize, or I don't know, quotes like that.
Yeah.
I very much so get fulfillment out of knowing that every day I am maximizing my potential in this one thing that I've decided to go after. Whether that actually places me on the big stage where I get a big old name placard and the announcers are saying my name and I'm traveling to Minnesota or Tennessee, which is where the event would be, and they're actually like, and I'm actually competing. I don't know if that so much matters to me as much as just being able to look back at some point and say, like, damn, I really made a run at that and I gave it everything I could have. And I found my max potential. And like, you look back and 350th, like that's cool. Like if you, the numbers are cool to say like, I will undoubtedly probably place higher than that this year, you would think, with a whole nother year of training.
Right. I hope so.
Like if that's in the 200s or the 100s somewhere. On the world stage, I was like 750th or something like that. If I
Mhm.
could be a top 500 fittest person in the world, top 300 fittest, like that's cool. But I think the journey, and again, going back to sort of the lessons you learn and the work ethic that gets crafted along the way, like I
Mhm.
think those are more important. And
Yeah.
I truly enjoy like just being out in the garage and just grinding, sweating,
Sweating. Yeah.
breathing heavy,
Yep.
knowing that most people aren't doing that and that I'm getting better and other people aren't. And
Yeah.
it's a very selfish, like egocentric sort of like thing. But I feed off that. And I think that's what I like most.
Okay. I got you, man. No, I kind of figured that was the answer. More so knowing you, it's more like it's the man in the mirror, not necessarily, race day that's going to
Yeah.
keep you going.
Yeah.
And so that's certainly not how I am normally. The consistency thing I kind of struggle with. And I think most people do.
Yeah.
You're kind of up there in, kind of a rare individual in that regard. How can more people adapt that man in the mirror or consistency every day, no matter what kind of mentality?
I think it's a matter of starting small and eventually like it's such a daunting task to look at somebody like David Goggins or even me, right? And people
Yep.
just they look at the way I live my life and it just seems like it's almost like it's too much work to be that
Hmm.
disciplined, right? Like there's too much to think about to be that disciplined and that routine and that consistent, right? On my end though, I don't see it that way at all. I actually think it makes life easier when you're that like when I, you get to a point where you're so disciplined and the priorities are so straight and narrow that
Hmm.
you're not even making decisions anymore. You know what has to be done. You know that you're going to do it regardless
Hmm.
of if you want to do it or not, and you just do it.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't necessarily always this way. I think college football definitely helped with this. Um, and I think the thing that kind of broke me through the barrier of this was like, man, in college, when we would run sprints in the summer, specifically the conditioning stuff we would do, I was, I was bottom 10% on the team.
Okay.
I played with some absolute freaks who all around were better, more capable athletes than I, but I didn't have a choice. Like I still had to get up and go do those sprints, whether I
Yeah.
wanted to or not.
Yep.
So at some point, and that was for 5 years. So at some point early on, I had to just get my brain to switch over to this is what's happening.
Hmm.
Regardless, I don't have a choice. This is the work we do to get where we want to go.
Yeah. At
And
some point, you took on the like the coach perspective in that example. So coach is making me run sprints. Someday, Tyler just changes it to I'm going to run sprints.
yeah,
This is a decision. Yep.
right. And because there was no alternative, there was an alternative, right? I could quit,
Right.
but there's massive consequences to that. And I didn't want any part of that. So that was what broke me through. So I was almost myself forced into being this disciplined. And for others, they're not going to have that, right?
Yeah.
So the easiest way to get around it is to start with something small. Whatever is important to you, whether it be eating a little bit better or exercising a little bit more, reaching out to friends more that you want to talk to, talking with your family, whatever it is,
Hmm.
being better at work. Start with something super small. Say it's working out. Right now you work out once or twice a week, and sometimes it's not at all during the week or whatever. And you just make it a priority and an absolute non-negotiable that, you know what, for the next month or 2 months, it's 2 times a week. And it doesn't
Hmm.
matter if there's a tornado or like, you know, aliens come down on Earth and are, wrecking
Non-negotiable.
you're getting to the gym and you're working
Yeah.
out, and it doesn't matter if for those 30 minutes you're at the gym that you hate your life, but you're going to get it done.
Yeah.
And you do that for 8 weeks. And after 8 weeks, you're like, okay, like now it's 3 times. Now it's 4 times. And you just keep working into it where it's like, you just keep telling yourself there is no negotiations here.
Yep.
Like There is no alternative. Once you start with one thing and you get really good and it becomes a way of life, then you can add another. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe it's, your business, whatever it may be.
Right.
And you just build small. A lot of people, I think, just try to jump from, I'm this undisciplined person who doesn't work out, doesn't eat right, all this stuff, and they try
Yep.
to topple it all on at once. I'm now going to be the opposite. I'm immediately going to be, the picture perfect.
Walk around. I got my
Yeah,
creatine. I'm going to
right,
the gym, bro. Yeah,
right.
I got you.
Everything. They try to go from 0 to 100, and they forget that you have to pass 1 mile per hour, 2 miles per hour, 3 miles per hour to get there.
Mhm.
I think just, my advice is to go slow and you have to go through the long process
Yeah, yeah.
before you can get there. So
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Zoom just told me I got a few minutes left to
yeah, like
record
eight
unless I
minutes.
upgrade.
Huh?
Yeah. So,
Trying to make money.
like I said, we could probably keep talking for hours, I would imagine. We're both pretty good at it at this point. But I think since we only have a few minutes, I think the theme that I more so wanted people to get is that if you set a goal and then you find a structure, you can do some of these things. So like with the show for theology, you can just start by going to church every Sunday, and then you can pick a Bible study, and then you can decide to read the Bible daily. And you can take that, Tyler, if you want, but just people listening might expect that message from the show. And that's certainly why I wanted to have you on here, because it's the goal, the structure, and the execution that everybody needs in their life, and it doesn't have to be that theological example. It could be fitness, or like you said, you're trying to build your business or make
Sure.
more sales. The lesson that you have learned, people can just hear you speaking now and then just apply it to their life. Like people with mentors that are in their 50s, all those lessons that you can learn from them or online or in books, people already did all the hard stuff. Just go out, take what they did and build upon it. You can save yourself like a decade's worth of work
Yeah.
from learning from people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that the quote I often use with my clients is like, the answer is very, very simple, right? Like you said, people have figured it out, right? It's simple, but it's not easy because you
Mhm.
have to be the one to show up and make the decision every single day. And I just tell my clients, like, when you're faced with a decision, you can either go right or left, right? 99.9% of the time, you're going to have a decision that either takes you closer to the man, to the person, to the athlete, to the, you know, health that you want to be, or
Mhm.
the one you don't, right? And you just
Right.
isolate that decision and say, going this way or going that way, which one's going to get me to where I want to be? And you
Yep.
just isolate, make it simple in your brain, and you just go one for one in that decision. You choose the right way.
Yep.
And then you can put that behind you. And when you come to another fork in the road, again, you just worry about that singular go one for one. And if you go one for one enough times, eventually you're 10 for 10 or you're 20 for 20 and you're
Yep.
really doing well. So
Yeah.
that's how I look at it.
I like it. I'm glad that you're giving that to your clients. It just hit me, but something you said earlier, you could be certainly making the decision every day, but you could be living in a post decision world. So, Tyler Kluver decided he wanted to be on top as far as CrossFit goes. That's the decision. It's already been made. How do
Mm-hmm.
we make that happen every day? Thinking about it that way, I flipped the script on you a little bit. I don't know what you think of that, but if you think of these things as non-negotiable, that might start to wear on you a little bit. Every day I've got to
Yeah.
get outside and do this, or sit at my computer and work on something for a while. But if you just think of yourself as living after that decision's been made, you're just executing. That might help. That would help me to think about it that way.
Yeah. And I think I think that um, I think that you are naive or maybe a little shallow to believe that taking on something where you want to be great, you want to
Hmm.
win the day, you want to be better at something, isn't going to come with that struggle,
Yep.
too. Because there's probably 50% of my days I don't want to go out. Like,
Right.
thing that would make me most happy is not going out and just murdering myself on a rower, right? The
You
problem
want
is,
to
the
you want
problem
a
is
pint of ice cream and kick your legs up.
I would love to,
Yeah.
but I know that one of those options makes me better and will take me closer to what I want long term,
Yep.
and one of those is not going to help with that. And so, um, some days you have bad days, and you have to struggle a little bit, bring it back around. I don't know as much about you on the theology and God stuff, but I'm pretty sure didn't Jesus like carry his own cross to like the place where he was, pinned up. Like
Yep. You had a
guy
little bit
went,
of help along the way, but yeah, yeah.
yeah, guy went through some struggle, huh?
Hmm.
And but but in the world of the Bible and stuff, he's looked at as pretty great. So, um, you know, to complete the analogy, you have to you have to be ready to have those bad days, and just know that you're going to get knocked down, and you have those are the places where the one for one decision is a whole lot harder, because you just want to take
Yep.
the easy road and just stay down, eat
Right.
the ice cream, sleep in, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And you have to make the decision. And eventually you learn to love being the guy who's like, okay, I'm faced with a challenge. I chose the hard decision. That feels good. Like, I like
Yep.
that.
You can
So,
look yourself in the eyes at the end of the day and be proud of yourself.
yep, yep.
Yep. All right. Well, that's a good spot to end, buddy. I'll let you go. Do you want to plug your socials or anything like that? Otherwise, we can just
Sure, I
part
can.
ways.
At Tyler Kluver, all lowercase, no spaces or extra characters. If you're somehow interested in the Iowa football community, Washed Up Walk-Ons is the podcast, but
Hey, there we go.
I don't care so much about any of that. It's just go
It
be
just
great.
pays the bills.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I thought I'd give you the opportunity.
I
That's probably the
appreciate
only
you
time I'll
having
do
me
that.
on.
Yeah, brother. Next time we can do just a little bit of a theology 101.
Sure,
And then you'll know more about that Jesus guy carrying the
dude.
cross.
I'll come on and have any conversation you want to have.
All right. Well, returning guest Tyler Kluver, and with that, our time together with Mr. Tyler Kluver has come to an end. Another episode in the books. Second guest on the show. Hopefully more. I'm trying to get people lined up. I do appreciate you listening. Like I said, it seems like there's a lot of growth lately. I'm very grateful. This little hobby, I never expected much to come out of it, but thank you for the support. Tyler's a great friend. Zoom kind of cut us off there. We could have him on for hours. I'm assuming he won't hesitate to come back when I ask, but I'll try to keep getting the guest lineup scheduled out and have some fun episodes here in the future. In conclusion, I would say for today, pick something and shoot for it. At the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that sin means to miss the mark, but to miss the mark, you have to be aiming at something, and we're aiming creatures. So go do a 5K, go lift some weights, walk every day this week, pick a diet, start a Bible study. I just signed up for one today, but pick something because you can only miss the mark when you're aiming at something. We all sin, we all fall short of the glory of God, but that doesn't mean it's not worth trying to be better, to pursue the perfect embodiment, the example that Christ set for us. So with that, hope you have a great week. Let me know if you learned anything, or if this was a waste of time, or if you will have someone in mind as a guest. I'm open to any and all suggestions. So I love you. God loves you. Don't forget, you are saved through Christ.